Good morning, Florida. It's the 29th of March. A bit tired here. We finally had our daylight savings time begin, so we lost an hour. So yeah, waking up at 5:30 this morning was actually more like waking up at 4:30 in the morning yesterday. So that's a lot of fun. And I'm here with Al again. He's still here, and we haven't went outside yet. So I'm going to be getting kind of like the stink eye, like it's time to go potty. But hey, you okay? Welcome back. He's a bulldog. All right. Today I'm going to keep it a little bit quick because I'm sure a lot of you need to do church things because it's Sunday morning. I wanted to just touch on a couple of things. First of all, the Czech Republic, we're about the same still. Yeah, we're still going up a little bit, but not. But again, um, they're they're increasing the testing. So yeah, we're finding new cases, which is absolutely normal. But the curve is still kind of like fairly steady, and there's no kind of we're not spiking or anything like that. So basically, our measures, which they're extending, are basically having an effect here by keeping the numbers down. So there's not like this huge strain on our medical system. So basically, we're able to actually treat the people that are infected. And as of this morning, we still only have 9 deaths. Okay. Our population is about the same size as kind of like New York City. So, just to give you some kind of something to compare. So basically, like yesterday in the news, it was about Trump and DeSantis were talking about the thing about like quarantining New York and Connecticut and New Jersey. Um, I said this a week ago. I said a week ago, you guys have to close the borders. In Europe, we close the borders between all the countries. So there's no moving around because you need people to stay in one place. Um, the two reasons. One is because if someone's from an area which already has had the kind of like this like explosion of the virus, then you don't want those people traveling and taking it to places where the numbers are a little bit low, just because that place that has the lower numbers, they need time to prepare for when the wave comes to them, because it is going to come to you. Okay, you need to act early in order to keep the numbers down. For example, I'll give you the example of Italy, because some of you might need this explained. Italy didn't start with 80,000 cases. Italy started with one. You know, all these places, it started with one case, just one, you know, and then, it spreads. So those of you who are living in places in the United States, or for example, in counties in North Florida, where you don't have officially anybody, um, well, first of all, you will get somebody, and secondly, the numbers are still going to go up if you don't take the measures. Okay. Um, because here's the thing. I mean, I was talking about this with a friend yesterday. We were typing, and this was the thing. It was one of these people that that they're complaining about the economy. Oh no, the economy is going to will be like too damaged by this. And I was like, we'll define too damaged. You had a Great Depression. We came back from that. That was less than 100 years ago. And in terms of like human history, like how long we've been on the planet, 100 years is nothing. So we do this twice in 100 years, where we have to have some kind of like big um, economic issue, and yeah, we'll come back. We're integrated on a planet now. We'll come back, because here's the thing. Economies recover, the jobs come back, but the dead don't. And this is one of the things that people really need to understand. I could go back to Star Trek. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. This is not the time to be selfish. One of my friends from high school, you know we're in the middle of a bit of a tiff right now, because in her state, there was a meme, and about contacting their governor, to have the governor allow the chiropractor offices to open. And I just, like here, for example, we're not really doing dentist, and this idea that maybe it's like, no elective medical procedures will be performed now because, all of that equipment and, all those people, even like dental nurses, they can go to some kind of like triage center and help there to do something, and dentists are kind of like, that's actually a doctor, and they could be used in other places and like, but also because you don't need people moving around, you don't need people sitting in a waiting room, like in different types of specialist office for something which is not critical now. The entire weight of the healthcare system needs to be focused solely on, the virus, except for, of course, for the normal things like heart attacks and strokes like that, hopefully, but again, this is one of the reasons why you're trying to keep the numbers down is so, the emergency room can deal with like car accident victims, or, people that have heart attacks, or people that have strokes, or, because like normal life is still continuing in some aspects, and, some people do need emergency care, but they will not be able to get that emergency care if the coronavirus cases are so high that it overwhelms the entire system. Like I mentioned yesterday, Germany still has 100,000 free beds. They started early. They have a really, really good healthcare system, but again, they started early testing and taking some measures. So like, so Trump and DeSantis were talking about, this quarantine of like these 3 states. Yeah, of course. The problem with this is that, for that, it's too late. It's too late, to do anything to protect those areas because it's already out of the box. However, these other states, these other counties where the numbers are low, they could close. There's no reason why, you need to have all, like, if you're not basically doing a job in healthcare or agriculture or, truck drivers or things like that, the actual commercial part of moving around, then everybody else needs to stay at home. That's what we're doing here. And this is the reason why our medical system has not been overwhelmed is because, we took these strict actions. And, this is not an attack on individual liberty. This is an act of selflessness from the individual, that you are giving up something to protect your neighbor. I've mentioned this sometimes, but just this idea that, like this insistence that, an exception be made for something like chiropractors. And, I have nothing against chiropractors at all. I mean, they do help some people, and like, I don't think it's a non-legitimate like service, but it's not something that this is not a life or death thing, and it's not something that needs to risk the lives of other people to have you traveling around, to and from, this chiropractor's office. And apparently the chiropractor also supports the idea, gee, I wonder why, because they're losing money. God forbid, I'm sure that, the thought of them having to kind of like sell their mega mansion to get a small one if they lose all this money over a few months is just like, that's just too tragic for them. I mean, like, oof. God forbid anybody over there become inconvenienced from this, and that's one of the things that I keep seeing all these people, their complaints. It's not about, anything serious usually. It's just about, I'm being like, I'm being inconvenienced. Yeah, I mean, like, do these people not have any kind of solidarity at all, for their fellow man? And especially like when you kind of like look at their stuff and you're like, and they're also Christian. Also, okay, so this is a Christian. It's a Christian who doesn't want to be inconvenienced to help other people. Okay, got it. Yeah, right. All right. Another thing in Florida, so like DeSantis, they've started. They have the stay-at-home order now. If you're 65 or older, fine. That good idea. That helps. Again, it's too little. And again, it's too late, especially because Florida, again, you're back yesterday, you're back on that 30, you're like 33, 35% in one day thing. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Again, talk to your politicians, call them. They need to make the orders stricter. You guys don't need to move. You need to really consider kind of like either like shutting down the counties or, breaking up the state into like 10 sections and kind of like just quarantining them off, because you guys really need to prevent the movement. and you need to get people to stay at home. You know, if you see a bunch of kids like running up and down the street, like playing like, you know, any kind of like sports or anything, you know, honk the horn, give them the finger, tell them to get the fuck home. Oops, sorry, the hell home. You know, you know, this is one of the things. It takes a village this time, apparently, you know, to enforce these things, because, you know, people need to be led, and when you lead people, sometimes that also involves kicking them in the ass. You know, because most people who are over 18 really are not adults. You know, there's like being an adult and being a legal adult, and most people think that's the same thing. And most of us who are kind of like a little bit clever and a little bit older, we know that, you know, there are a lot of adult children, you know, running around, and they don't understand things, or, you know, they're very, very self-absorbed, and, you know, me, I don't want to do these things. You know, you need to kick them in the butt. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, the last thing. The thing about the anti-malarial drugs is this. It will not be possible to really know if those things work or not. And this is the reason why. Because, you know, the thing is that a lot of people who get infected and get ill recover. Okay? You know, this is a viral illness, and typically, you know, viral illnesses historically, you know, because they don't respond to antibiotics, you know, there are a lot of the viral illnesses were not treatable at all. The only thing you could do was to treat the symptoms and, you know, hope that the body on its own could defeat the virus and the patient could recover. You know, and a lot of things like, you know, like the cold or influenza, you know, before they actually had vaccines and stuff, you know, it was normal. You know, you get the flu, you feel like crap, your body actually defeats it, and then, you know, it's gone. But the thing with the coronavirus is that we already know that, you know, like the vast majority of people that get this will recover, and some of them will get extremely ill, but then they're going to recover. So the thing is this, is that, you know, the people that they're giving the medicine to in the hospitals that, you know, recover, you know, you can't really tell if that person recovered because you gave them this anti-malarial medication, or if it was just a person who would have actually recovered, you know, on their own. You know, maybe slowly, maybe over a long time, and maybe it's been difficult, but you don't know. And that's the problem. You know, there is not enough data. This is something which has not been studied, and, you know, again, this medicine actually, especially the anti-malarial one, because you had the guy that was in Arizona this week that took it and died. You know, after Trump was touting this, like, you know, that this is kind of going to be kind of like the cure-all for all this stuff, and, you know, someone already died from that. You know, this medication actually is, you know, it can be toxic. You know, it can kill you. So that's why it's really, really dangerous to do that. And they're only using this medicine basically for people that they really think are like getting ready to die. Okay, that's it. So, you know, they will not be giving this to all of you. Or, you know, if you get a positive test, you know, they're not going to give you the malaria medication. You should not try to get the malaria medication, because, you know, there's absolutely zero proof that this medicine actually cures anything. There's absolutely no direct linkage at all. Okay? If you have, you know, they'll say, oh, 3 people were given the medication and, you know, they survived. You know, it was like, well, how many people didn't? You know, or how many people, you know, you don't know. Okay? So anybody who's telling you that, you know, this medication is going to work against something, you know, it's really not based on anything. I mean, it's based on kind of like, just like, either the person's like, oh, I want to sound smart and tell you I have this miracle thing, and I want to share this information on Facebook, you know, so you all think that, you know, I'm cool, or I know what I'm talking about, or maybe even they're just trying to help somebody, but like, oh, look, it's almost over, you have this miracle thing. Again, like, you know, if it doesn't come from a very, very reputable news source, you know, or you don't understand the science yourself, then don't share it. You know, because you're going to be doing a lot more harm than help. I think someone needs to go outside. All right, and I think that's basically like all the information I have for you guys today. But again, just the same thing as before. Keep hounding, keep calling your political representation, and get them to make to enact stricter enforcement quarantine rules for this. It's the only way you're going to save lives. Okay, you're too late. You're really, really way behind the ball here. You know, when you guys had a couple of cases in the United States, what are you afraid of? You saw what was happening to Europe. You know, an intelligent person would have said, "Oh, we can see what's happening in Europe on their timeline and maybe predict what it's going to look like here. So we can take measures here to make sure that we don't have what happened in Europe, or it doesn't happen here what happened in China." And you know, your leaders did not do that, either from incompetence, stupidity, or lack of leadership. You know, you need better people running the show there. Like I said, both parties. You know, you really, for being such a large country and being so technologically advanced, you need some bigger brains, you know, to understand these things. Anyway, so stay safe. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, which no longer exists because now every day is the same basically. Don't kill your kids. Go back and look at the video that I made before about the scheduling, because I did read something this morning that they said that they are, again, this is kind of one of those like data, not kind of like so accurate, but they were it was a psychological report warning about kind of like the increase in the instances of like domestic violence between like, partners or children and things like that. So, that scheduling thing will help. The scheduling thing will help keep calm and keep order in your house and try to prevent you guys from, getting kind of like cabin fever. Or in Czech, it's like submarine illness, which is really funny. All right, so enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Take care. Pressure the hell out of your politicians. Masks, hands, all that kind of stuff. Living in your space capsule, Ninja Nation staycation. Love you guys and keep safe.